Great evening, TI. It's your girl Key. How does it find you? How's it all going? I'm here. I'm at the Key for Change offices. I have my big bush that has now grown to a substantial size. And to be frank, I don't know what is weeds from what is flowers. But hey ho, what can you do? This is just a quick one to let you know that my latest article, Text from an Ex, is out. Easy Sam, how are you? Marlon, greetings. It's your girl Key. I'm here. I'm at the Key for Change offices. I have a client in half an hour, but I thought I'd go live. It's been a while. Just to let you know, Text from an Ex. Yep, for all the singletons out there, yes, Marlon and Parks, how you doing? It's your girl Key. Yes, how are you coping with lockdown? This is for all my singletons out there who are having people crawl out of woodwork, the people that have given you heartache, headache, and now all of a sudden they're hitting up your phone. Yes, Sam, I miss you too, man. I miss you too. It's one of the reasons why I just make sure, I come to the office just to shake it all up. Text from an ex. The struggle is real, especially if you're someone who's single and you're looking for a relationship. How do you cope? Yes, you're good, Marlon. Good. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here for a little while. Happy to answer any questions you might have about love, relationships, intimacy, dating in this kind of time where it's all about bang that booty and dash that booty. If you're having challenges or you know somebody who is, let your girl Key know, because I'm here to be of assistance. Great greetings to ya. Secret Angel, hello, welcome. So this is about when you get that random text from an ex. What do you do? Especially if you feel pulled or you might want to indulge and a part of you knows that relationship is not good for you. So, my article is talking basically about when you come to that crossroads, out of the blue, all of a sudden you hear from someone, your relationship is going nowhere, the sex is average, or maybe the foreplay is average, yet you feel perplexed about how to respond. What do you do? If you're interested, do check out my article, Text from an Ex, because for the single ladies out there, we know it is not easy. We know it's not easy out here. Marlon, I don't know if your name is Marlon, but do let me know if you agree. Dating and relationships in this kind of current time where it's all about people aren't necessarily wanting commitment. And if you're someone and you want commitment, you want to build a relationship with somebody, it can be very, yes, sweet as gem. Saver boy, yes, big up. Ignore it. But what happened? I hear you, ignore it. But what happens if the dude weren't blocked and he comes out of the woodwork? Marlon, my friend, this is a big issue for folk. We struggling out here when you get those random messages from people and potentially you're single, you haven't met anybody, yet you've got a person who's down for a link up on your blower. What do you do? Hot Bella, Wagwan, how are you doing? I'm taking any questions tonight about getting a text from an ex. I have half an hour and I have to do another Facebook Live in about 10 minutes or so. So if you have any questions about how to manage that, how to deal with that, what you do in those situations, just let me know. And I think if you are someone, we know that, the friends of benefit culture has more or less created a lot of challenges for people who are single, that it can be very difficult knowing, do you go back down that road or do you not? Especially if the good was good. What do you do in those situations? Because we know it is not easy. You just have to wait on the right time. But Marlon, my dear friend, what do you do if you have your itch? Marlon, my friend, you have an itch. What do you do in those situations where you have an itch? Because these are real struggles that people are dealing with. The reason, when I think about mental health problems, anxiety and depression, listen, for a lot of us, our man problems is the reason why we got mental health problems. Yeah? So that's one of the reasons why I'll always be encouraging us to check ourselves in terms of how we operate in these situations. Because sometimes, especially if we didn't get the love we deserved in our younger years, we end up repeating the same old patterns with individuals who ain't going to commit to us, who often love and hurt us. Or maybe you're someone who loves and hurts somebody. So yes, Marlon, I respect what you say. You have to wait on the right time. I do get that. But in the meantime, for some of us single women, it's been a number of years and the caliber has not been so great. So what do you do about your sexual needs? Marlon, I would love to hear what you'd have to say to me about that. What do you do about your sexual needs when potentially you've been single for a number of years, you got a little link up, yeah, but you might like the link up, you might want a little upgradation, but he just wants to give you the hardwood and nothing more, and not even no little good treatment, no little Nando's or no nothing. Don't want to carry you nowhere. It's all undercover, all at night. Before linking up with the ex, we have to think, why is that person an ex? Well, you know what? I've heard somebody else say this. Yeah, we have to think about why the person is the ex. Well, we know why they're the ex. But you have little quarantine needs. You need a little human touch. You need a little affection. What if that might be one of the reasons that you're tempted? Whereas before, you may have been very steely in your decline from them. However, as the lockdown period has gone on, it's been increasingly difficult. And I think this is what self-love really looks like. You know, people often talk to me about, oh, Key, yeah, I do self-love, I do my eyebrows and I do my nails. Sistrin, doing your eyebrows and your nails is no longer self-care. That's bog standard for so many of us. When I'm talking about self-care is when we are most challenged, when we get some random communication from an ex and you may still have feelings for that person. How do you best look after yourself? And I'm here to tell you, you know, it's okay if you go back down that road, because sometimes we get judged or we keep mute about it or we feel shamed about it. For so many of us, we can choose to go down that road even though we know it's not going to be fruitful. However, needs must. Sexual needs, familiarity can often mean that we end up inadvertently settling for crumbs. And if you're annoyed with yourself, if you keep going back down the same old road and you feel like, anybody ever felt like somebody's had a spell over you and it's been very difficult for you to be able to break that spell? If that's the case, I totally get it. And this video is probably more suitable for highly empathic people, because empathic people, we love a little way too much. And that is a beautiful thing if you happen to fall in love with somebody who is going to complement your nature. However, if you've had a history of unhealthy relationships, yes, Jackie, big up, good to see you there, then we have to be really mindful when they come crawling out of the woodwork. And so sometimes some people aren't always blocked. Yes, help Bella, I'm glad somebody knows what I'm talking about, you know, because people get all judgmental, you know, but you know your girl Key is here to keep it real. These are real battles and real challenges, especially if the good wood was good, yeah? It can be very difficult, even though you know the relationship ain't going nowhere, you know that there ain't gonna be no birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, and you know it's just straight lead. It can be very difficult. And so, you know, I'm here to have these conversations that for some reason, I see all the mental health people running up and down. I don't hear nobody talking about love. And I don't hear nobody talking about intimate relationships. Because I can tell you this, a lot of us have got challenges and issues because of our intimate relationships. If you know what I'm talking about, give your girl Key a heart and a like, and a heart and a like. Feel free to ask your questions, because it helps. Otherwise, I can just chat, and I'm a chatterbox, as my mum always said. So texts from an ex, it's not always easy. Everybody will be like, oh, well, why aren't they blocked? Why aren't they deleted? Well, for whatever reason, they weren't. And, you know, there's a whole culture around blocking anyway. And sometimes I know when I've blocked people, I felt really judged by my friends. I've been like, my friends have been like, oh, why can't you just be big enough and like leave? Like, why do you have to block him? Like, well, I block for my own self-care. Remember, blocking is a form of self-care, you know. Some of us need to realize that we need to use these devices to best look after ourselves. Yeah, letting them just have full access when they breeze in and breeze out is not often good for us. But I also know for many of us, we get really scared about blocking someone as well. That creates a whole nother angst, you know. But in some sense, my sisters, my queens, kings, sometimes blocking is good for us. It means that we shut the gate on somebody. We don't let them back in. But in the article I've written about text from an ex, no, you don't need to block them. Just face reality. But what if you're too tempted, my friend Marlon? What if you're tempted and you struggle to lock it off? What if you struggle to say no to somebody? Because for some of us, we struggle to say no to certain dudes or girls or whatever your persuasion is. As you know, I don't know if you know, but I'm heterosexual, so I always tend to speak from my own perspective. If that doesn't work for people, I do apologize. But obviously, because of the sensitive nature of the work that I do, I would rather talk from my perspective. I don't betray anybody's confidence. You love to, CSG, you love to block. Listen, sometimes you need a block party, you know. Because, listen, you can pick up your phone sometime and then you see their little name on the phone and it just brings you down. It absolutely brings you down. And so that is about us looking after ourselves. That's called self-care. As I said before, this whole getting my hair and my nails done, it's not really self-care. It's so standard for so many of us. What we have to learn to do is we have to learn to upgrade our self-care. Blocking folk is good for our self-care. And I remember when I told a friend that I'd blocked, talked a big dream. I tell you what he was. He was an over-promiser and an under-deliverer. I ain't gonna give him name. We call him over-promiser, under-deliverer. And when I told my friend I blocked him, she felt that I was the one who was quite infantile about it. And she's like, well, why don't you just leave it unblocked? And I'm like, well, actually, no, I need to block for my own care. I like the dude. The dude's on a long ting. So you know what? If I block, story done right there, sir. I think I need to get a high five for that. This is especially important for our empath crew, because our empath crew, we are often led by our feelings. And when we are totally led by our feelings, it means our rational sense-making mind is compromised. The prefrontal cortex lobes, thank you, is offline. And so we're just led by our feelings. Worse, if you got your little lady flower fluttering, it's game over. Next thing you know, you're back in the bed with somebody who is gonna mess with your head. The struggle is real. Especially if you're block all bad energy and negativity. Blocking folk is good for our self-care. I love that. Yes, sister. Blocking people is an act of self-care. Don't worry if your eyebrows are out of shape. Blocking people is good for self-care. So obviously in this instance, a text from an ex has come through and you feel challenged. You feel challenged because you have rapport with that person. You're single. The man of your dreams, the partner of your dreams has not come true yet. We're still waiting. So in the meantime, what do we do? What do we do? Listen, this is real, yeah? This is the real issue. This is the stuff that we struggle with. People struggle with this stuff, and it's real, and it feeds into our well-being, and it can bring us down. It can mean that when you look at your phone, you're looking and seeing if the person call you back, especially if we have a habit of going back to people that treat us like shite. Yeah? And some of us love a challenge, and that's another issue that we have. Some of us love a challenge. Some of us think we can make a bad man good, and it don't work like that. A lot of us will end up, hey, Mrs., how you doing, friends? Good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Let me know if you have any questions. Tonight I'm talking about getting a text from an ex and how best we respond to that. And actually, if you choose to respond to a text from an ex, maybe you go down there, you get your needs met, there's no judgment. Sometimes we do what we have to do, but we have to also be conscious. This one goes out to all my empaths. If you're an empath, you're going to know where I come from, because highly empathic people we tend to go with our feelings. And this is what can make love and intimate relationships such a car crash for us. Let's be honest, let's have it. If we fall into the wrong hands. Being an empath and being in love is something we have to be very mindful about who we allow close to us. We have to be very clear about who we let in close to us. If you want to understand more about being an empath and how best to look after your great gift, click the link there and you can go and see my new empath's guide. So I've written a guide for us empathic souls. Thinking we can save the world. Been there though. Oh my gosh, Fran, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A text from an ex. Oh, I got stories about that for days. Oh, sister, what's your strategy when you get a text from an ex? Let your girl Key know, because we have to learn to be our own best friend. And if you want to go back there, you go back there. Yeah, you go, you do what you need to do. Ride it out. Yeah, but then you need to know what you're dealing with, just because it's going to be the said problem come Monday morning. Let's not be empath crew. You know what I'm talking about, because you know us empaths are ever optimistic, ever hopeful. No, we need to know that if you go back there, there's no judgment, but we have to keep our legs grounded in reality, feet on the floor. No hopeless hope. Hopeless hope is not good for us. A text from an ex. You felt guilt for not replying before when in the situation, even though the dude was no good. You see it there? Yeah. Because it gets into your head, right, Jack? It gets into your head. And so you're there now thinking about this text. Oh, yeah, you know, you've not responded. And that is a perfect example of how it can kind of pull you into that vortex. And when you have relationships such as these, you have to be very mindful. Because I don't know about you, I don't want guilt trips. I want long haul trips. Wouldn't mind going on the plane and taking a left, sitting up in their little first class for a change. That would be nice. We don't want guilt trips. Guilt trips will always suggest that there is power, control, manipulation going on. And we need to be careful of that. We need to, unless we want to be dominated. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. No judgment. You know, we all have our vices. So there you go. But it's your girl Key. You know, I'm here to talk about the realities of living, the realities of life. I guess I'm the one who says the things that most people aren't really talking about in terms of, you know, mental health. But the true reality is so much of our intimate relationships can properly mess us up and screw us over. And over the many, many years I've helped people, as well as having to sort my own self out, you know, it's important that we recognize we have to pay very close attention to who we get close to. And I know everybody act like they don't do closeness no more, like it's just a wham bam, ride the ting and dash down. But we're humans and we have feelings. You know, it might be all about drop, lock and pop your booty, but actually beyond that, you're a human being and we have basic needs to be loved and intimacy. I know it's out of style now, I know it's out of vogue. It's all about, you know, tap and go. But actually, for empathic people, I think the hookup culture is very difficult. My response depends on the ex. Okay, so my CSG, you got like gradations of exes. You're damn right. You know what? It's true. Every one of them come with a story. And some of them you can be friends with. Some of them you can be friends with is decent. And some, depending on, you know, if you're an empath, can be rather tricky. And we need to be very careful. Go back there and show your teeth. No hopeless hope. We don't want hopeless hope. Yes, Marlon, I do have a YouTube channel. It's Key for Trains. We want long haul trips. You mean, sister? We want to bust on that plane and go to the left, to the left, to the left. So it's your girl Key. I'm here today briefly talking about my latest blog, which is called Text from an Ex. What do you do? I think it's very subjective. I think it's up to you. You have to make a conscious decision. Conscious decision is where we sit down and meditate on it. It's not where we just pick up with things, bathe, shave 2 leg, shape up the triangle, and then run down and go and find them. No, we don't want to be doing that. And firstly, don't even shave. Let them find it as it is. Yeah? Let them cut down some bush. Let them work for that. Yeah? What we need to be doing is we need to be making some conscious choices. Conscious choices So we're clear, we're grounded in reality. If you're an empath, you know that we spend a lot of time in a fantasy, thinking about how it could be, the potentiality of the relationship. None of that is good for us. It's not good for us. Save fantasies for writing your own fictional stories. When we're in intimate relationships, we need to be grounded in reality. Too many won't even admit that they want a text from an ex. Oh, yeah, I get that totally, because intimate relationships are complex. And no matter how much we think we might have a smash grab relationship or just a physical one-dimensional relationship, I don't care what nobody says. Attachments grow. Especially, I'm talking to my empaths anyway. I'm talking to you guys. You empathic people, your attachment grows. Don't be trying to act like you can just grind, get up and go and walk away. It doesn't work for you. You care. And we need to understand that we care and we're made that way. And that's why we have to be mindful about who we let close to us. Otherwise, especially if you get embroiled with our arch enemy, the narcissist, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble. We have to learn to protect our niceness. And so if you're interested, I could put a link here to my article. Feel free to download that, have a look at that, have a read of that. And basically what I'm really saying is, when we have a text from an ex, especially if it's someone we care about, we will find ourselves at a crossroads. And it's in our best interest to make a conscious decision as to whether we go down the same road, ride the same ting-a-ling-a-ling, school bell a ring, or we hook a left and do something different. Now, not many can do a beat and bounce without catching feet. Oh, you mean? Thank you, CSG boss lady. People acting like they're some sort of robot, yeah? You can't, especially for females. You've got all kind of chemicals working that are designed to create connection. What do they call it again? Oxytocin. It gets released during lovemaking, and women have more than men. Women have a whole lot more. So attachment is basics. But, if you think that you don't care or the culture tells you to not care, it's a lie. You will grow attached, and you will feel away when you're ignored or you don't hear from them, or especially at milestone events. Maybe you don't even get a little card. Maybe, sort of card. You don't even get a gift. I'd want a gift rather than a card. I don't know about you. I'm going to keep it real, yeah? I'd rather a gift than a card. I could work without a card. Some of us don't even get nothing. You just get the dry hood, yeah? And so we have to be very mindful about who we let close to us. Empaths, your girl Key is here for you. And that's going to be the focus of my work, is really to focus on empaths. Because for so long, and it's all about evolvement. But what I realized, especially during lockdown, is that my business, my clients are highly empaths, highly empathic people. And so I just could see the pattern so clearly, like empath after empath after empath who have been hurt by the world. And so that's now where I'm focusing my attention, because empaths really truly have to learn how to protect themselves. If we don't learn how to protect ourselves, our wonderful, empathic, kind, caring gifts will feel like a curse, yeah? And then we'll try to act like we don't care. And that ain't good for us either, because now you have to try to override your natural giving nature, which is bad for your essence, because you're not being true to who you are. The reality is, you have the gift, you're kind, you're considerate, you probably go above and beyond for people. Accept that. Wisdom is that we learn who we gift that to. When you're giving that to no bozos who use us, abuse us, and take advantage. No. Them days, they're done. And if I'm working with you, we're going to start looking at some of that, so you get clarity about how to protect your niceness, because we don't want when they're done with us and then on to the next victim. We're left looking mash up, pop down. No. We say, you know what? Bless you. And we keep it moving. We keep it intact. Yes, we have a little wobble, but we don't let it break us. We don't want this to break us. But actually, I also know that we can learn a great deal from adversity. So, you know what? It may have been difficult. Someone may well have taken advantage of you. I've been there. If you know my story, you know the story. But actually, we can learn from those difficult life experiences. And my encouragement is that we learn how to protect our gift. If you are interested, click the link below and go to the Key for Change page, where you will find my Empath's guide. It's your girl Key. What time are we? Hey, 5-2. That went quick, innit? 5-2, that went quick. If you've got any questions before I go, anything you'd like to say, just feel free to put a comment there. Like I said, it's all about text from an ex and how best you look after your niceness. Text from an ex is especially tricky for my empaths, and I do not care. I have a bias as a psychotherapist. I am a bias. My bias is to my empaths, because I know you guys. I am one too, and I know the true challenge we have with our emotions. Often we love too much and we give too much, and sometimes we create the situations where people take liberties with us. That's why I don't need nobody that needs help. So in our private lives, it's best we have someone who can help us. Let's flip the script and go for something different. A lot of us go for dudes with potential. A lot of us go for people who we want to change or we want to fix. All the while, our energy is focused on them. And what's happening to you? I'll tell you what's happening to you. You'll have an expectation somewhere that when things are tricky for you, that they will come good. And I can tell you how that's going to go. It's going to hurt you, because you have too much love to give, and someone won't be able to match the love that you give. Yeah, so when sticky situations occur and you don't get back what you've given, that's because you're an empath and we care too much. And that's a beautiful thing. We just have to know where we put that love, because if we put that love in the wrong place, it can be catastrophic for us. Yeah, especially if we got all them attachment bonds, and we know that when our emotional brain is kicked in, we know that the rational part of our brain is compromised. Yeah, and that's when we kind of do things, and then the next day you wake up and you think, oh fuck, why did I do that? Why did I go back there? Why did I go back there? Give me a heart, give me a like if you know what your girl Key is talking about. Anything I said and it resonates with you, inbox me, let's have a conversation. You are not alone. Michael Jackson said it. You are not alone. But the challenge is, most people are mute about this. Most of my empaths are mute about this because we feel little shame. Now watch that. You are a highly sensitive individual with a lot of love to give. Your duty is to learn how to best protect your gift, so people don't mash up your life and take your kindness for weakness. If this makes sense to you, I would encourage you to click the link below and invest in my latest empathic guide, the Empath's Guide. It gives you some straight tips, straight from my dome, about how to best to protect your great gift. Because if you don't learn how to protect your great gift, I'll tell you what will happen. People will scope you out. They will find you. They can smell the care on you. They can smell the kindness on you. And then they will come, and slowly they come with their little sob story. And the next thing, you're making people's problems your own. And then when you're in problem, there is no help coming back to you. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I see you. It's your girl Key. Do take care of you, because if you don't learn to take care of yourself, CSG boss lady. So what happens when an empath and a narcissist get together? Fire. The empath will always come off worse. The empath will always be trying to make the narcissist love, and then the empath will bend over backwards to accommodate them. It's never it will be a toxic relationship, because what happens is the narcissist is selfish. You have the empath who's selfless. So then you have this coming together of selflessness and selfishness. And so what will happen is, usually the narcissist will drain you dry. I don't know how to put it. They will drain you dry emotionally, psychologically, financially, sexually, every kind of illy. They will deal with your case. And the bitch of it is, you'll probably still may have some remnants of feelings for them. Often, the reason empaths can end up with narcissists is often related to the fact, can a narcissist change? Oh my God, sister. And no, anytime anybody asks me if a narcissist change, I know what's a narcissist change if it suits them. So a narcissist only change if it has to benefit them personally. Yes? Personally. So unless it, my therapy practice here is not filled with narcissistic individuals. If it's just not, it's filled with empaths. Often narcissists will seek therapy when there's a deliberate reason they need to do it. For example, I don't know, if they was going to get divorced and they might lose all of the house because the wife is going to sue, then they come to therapy to try and make it look like they're trying to do something about it, but not in their heart. Because firstly, they don't think anything's their fault anyway. So no, I mean, and I can qualify that. I'm an ex-probation officer. I did 8 years at the scrub working with some people who've done some heinous crimes. So we know about psychopaths, we know about the narcissists and sociopaths. Like, I've worked with those individuals. We had to see those people in threes. That's how manipulative it is. Threes. Because they can wind a storyboard. Very manipulative individuals. But often when I discovered about narcissism, and I've written books on narcissism, and you can find that at keyforchange.com in my shop. I've got 2 books on narcissism, and I've got one on what that's like, which has been my story. That is what inspired me. Being in love with a narcissist is what inspired me to become a psychotherapist, because I just couldn't believe I had got myself in such a pickle. I was like, I could not believe the reality of the situation I found myself in. And from that, I just wanted to understand how the hell did that happen to me? And so I learned about narcissists. I learned a great deal, and obviously I worked in prison, so I had a lot of frontline experience. And then private practice. But fundamentally, what I truly believe is, I'm not really focused on narcissists now. I'm really focused on the people that love them and how difficult our lives are when we love someone who's a narcissistic individual. And narcissists will always be drawn to empaths. So for the person who asks me about that, if you want to know anything more, like, I could send you to my YouTube channel. I got videos about narcissism all day long, and the people that love them. Yeah, so loving a narcissist is no joke. And if your text from an ex is from the narcissist, in some of the things I had to do to try and break that relationship, I got new phones. At my worst ebb, I went into a hostel. So, the manipulation is real and it's serious. And if, you were dating a narcissist, and obviously the beginning of the relationship was the whoop whoop, because you have to be seduced. You have to be seduced into the nonsense, because when the nonsense licks you, the beginning was so good that you think, oh, well, he was so lovely. You doubt that it's him. You think maybe it's you. So you give them another try, and you keep trying, and you keep trying, because you felt like you met the love of your life. And you didn't meet, well, we thought we did, but what we met was the mask. And the masks that they have are very well oiled. And when the more you date a narcissist, the more you start to see the cracks. When you highlight the cracks, you'll soon start to see how they deal with you, because they don't want anybody seeing behind that mask. Anyhow, it's your girl Key. Oh yes, oh you get that, my girl. Oh yeah. You need to go to keyforchange.com, because we got some books there. We got workbooks there designed to help you to understand smoke and mirrors. Yeah man, they don't play. And that's why, narcissists have a God complex. They have a God complex, and they need to be worshipped. And so if you're not a disciple and you're not worshiping them no more, you're going to get written off. And how they write you off, the coldness, the guillotine, the harshness will astound you, especially for my empaths. Yeah, it would be awful. It's awful, because you could have never predicted or seen that coming. It's just the way it works. Oh child, when the mask slips, it's a revelation. What a thing! The mask slips behind closed doors. And I think one of the things that I learned about loving a narcissist is you know, we can hold on to the best bits. And that's what we do when we reminisce or we unblock them and we let them back in. But the true reality is that nasty person, when they're nasty and dirty to you and treat you like dog, that's the man you love, the woman you love, the person you love. That's the person you love. So you have to put up with all of it. Don't just be cherry picking the best bits of when it's all going well and it's... No, you have to look at the underbelly of it. When it's bad and they're being cold, harsh, critical, moody, or you feel like you're walking on eggshells, that's what you get. And then you get the euphoric highs. Or if they're still giving you validation, it depends where your relationship is, because as it goes on, you get little crumbs of validation. And the more in love we are with them, especially if we've had dysfunctional relationships in our early years, it may mean that we accept the pieces of crumbs that they give us. And the thing is, all of this mixed together slowly erodes at our self-esteem. And usually it's at that point, depending, you know, that's when people usually come and talk with me about what's going on for them. Because people around you won't necessarily understand. People won't understand, or they'll judge you or think the issue is with you, especially if you've got a real crafty one. You'll engineer it so you look like the bad person. Yeah, when it's good, but when it's bad, it's damn awful. I really don't buy into the when it's good, because that means you're in for a roller coaster of a relationship, you know, and that's the sort of thing that has profound impact on our self-esteem, our confidence, our well-being, our dreams, our ambitions. So, you know, for many years, you know, I grew up hearing, you know, when it's good, and it's bad, it's bad. It's an absolute fucking nonsense statement. Who wants a relationship that when it's good, and when it's bad, it's bad? What kind of nonsense is that? That's a roller coaster. That's a recipe for problems, you know. And if you've grown up hearing that, then often those statements are justifications, and you have to be careful if you say it to yourself, because if you say to yourself, oh, when it's good, it means that you are basically holding on for the good days, and then you accept whatever nonsense comes because you're waiting for a good day. Power of decision making also gets affected. Most definitely rational decision making process will be most definitely compromised, especially for the empath, who tends to make their decision based on felt senses. Depends on how you're wired. I guess I'll be talking about myself in this instance. But if you're someone who's driven by emotion, then you won't be making rational decisions. And the challenge is if you're dating a narcissist, or you're trying to get out of it, or you're going back and toing and froing, and I get it, right? Because it's mayhem, and sometimes you love them. And what else they do is they get in your mind. I think the challenge is you need professional help, and you need a support network. You need a support network, because sometimes breaking those bonds aren't easy. And, you know, for the various people I've supported over the years with various social backgrounds, you know, finance, houses, properties, kids is another one where their cruelness can show up in ways that make you think, I can't believe this person would do this to you. Yeah, man. Some of them would sell you out. Even if you got their kids, they would sell you out. And this is one of the reasons why we have to be very careful around these individuals. Very careful. I met a guy 4 weeks ago, and he's already calling me his soulmate and his girlfriend. Although I've told him to slow down, he doesn't seem to respect my boundaries. Rihanna, if you met somebody in 4 weeks, he doesn't seem to respect your boundaries, what do you think you need to do? Yeah, so I'm asking you a question. What do you think you need to do about that? Because sometimes you have to take that small minutiae behavior and blow it up and think, if you know what I like? When they show their colors in the early days, I love them when they show their colors in the early days, because I could see that as a projection of what you're going to get moving forward. If the early days behavior is problematic, red flag, pay attention. Rianne, I need to ask you if you're an empath. If you're an empath, you need to be very mindful, because it sounds like what's happening in this instance is he has all the power. You've given him the power. And a lot of us women give a lot of power away to men. We let them decide. We let them call. We give them the power. So all the decision making is in their hands. And we actually can make decisions too. So if you're not happy about the fact that there's a lack of boundary, what do you need to do about that? What do you need to say about that? Because if you have a history of being voiceless and letting other people dictate to you, naughty, then this will be another example of how that is manifesting in your life at the current time. And if you are repeating an unhealthy cycle of not voicing your concerns, being mute, and letting do dictate how it goes, then you may repeat an unhealthy pattern. Yes, you are totally an empath. I hope my comments there have made sense to you. What's an empath? An empath is a highly sensitive individual who has a caring, giving nature, and often gives to the point where they make themselves vulnerable. They can be intuitive. They can... what else would I say about an empath? Well, empaths are also known as highly sensitive people. So we're feelers. We're the feelers. We're often in caring professionals. We often help people. We are, as they would say to me when I worked in the prisons, you lot are soft touches. We're the soft touches. We're the people that care. And we live in a society that doesn't value the people that care. We can see that in terms of what people in caring professions are paid. It's one of the lower paid professions. So an unwoke empath is someone who is actually quite vulnerable to being abused. They are vulnerable to people taking advantage of their niceness. And if that is of interest to you, feel free to check out my Empath's Self-Protection Guide, because we have to learn to be our own best friend. And we also have to learn not to be at the mercy of our feelings all the time. Sometimes we have to, not let our feelings dictate our decision-making process. That's why we need to sometimes step away, ponder, call a friend before we respond. Because if we constantly react based on our emotions, especially in intimate relationships, especially if you're caught in a dynamic with a narc, then that can be very unhealthy for you, especially, if you're putting yourself in danger, especially if there's physical violence too. I used to think being an empath was a curse. It's never a curse. You got to learn to protect your gift. SJ Poetry, no sister, it's never a curse. It's an absolute gift. But the challenge is we're not taught that it's a gift. We're taught to give. Our society doesn't prize having a caring nature. And so for a lot of empaths who are not woke, they feel like it's a curse. And if you need to learn some more self-protection tips, go to my link pinned on this post and check out my Empath's Self-Protection Guide. We have to learn to be our own best friends, and we have to learn to find our voice. No. Some of us really struggle to say N-O, but it's all right. You're not alone. I'm here. I'm here to be of help, and I'm here to be of service to you. It's your girl Key. Take care of you, because if you don't, who will?